Greetings, I am John the Verbose, and this video is for month 3 of the 2017 YouTube Pagan Challenge. The first topic of this video is on deity and what deities you work with and your interpretation thereof. First of all, I am a panentheist, which is kind of like a pantheist, where we believe that the gods and goddesses are just different aspects of divinity. As a Reformed Druid, that really fits in with my interpretation that the Earth Mother is the physical manifestation of the divine. And it's not limited to that, but that's an example. And in our rituals, we do invoke various different deities, and people can interpret them in different ways. So not everyone who's a Reformed Druid shares my exact beliefs. Well, it's possible that they might, but that would be weird. And so when we invoke other deities like Belanos and Serona, who I have been cultivating a relationship with steadily over the last few years, and Belanos being a solar deity, that actually goes back before I put a name to him. For me, everything was just the solar aspect. When I lived in Ireland in 2004, that's when it really hit home for me that the people of the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, they did have this affinity for the sun. Earlier cultures, to them it was a sun cult based on cycles, seasons of the year, and survival. That was what it came down to, in essence. And so knowing where the sun would be at a certain time of the year, that was vital for their survival and for knowing when to plant crops. I mean, now we've got atomic clocks in Colorado and highly accurate clocks on our phones and everything. We don't really need to track the sun a whole lot. And so I kind of wanted to explore that aspect of my spirituality, but I didn't really want to put a name to it. So it was very heavily solar oriented. And when I did join the Reformed Druids of North America, I did explore it in the name of Belanos. And in the RDNA interpretation, they focus on the healing aspect of Belanos. And so it might seem kind of odd that a solar deity would have a healing aspect, but just think of it. When you're out, I mean, here's a nice gloomy day. I think it's a nice day, but a lot of people would not agree with that, where they like clear days with the bright gleaming sun in the sky. And to them, that can be very healing, very nourishing. And so Belanos has a lot of that psychological, that emotional healing aspect to it. And so I am a member of the Order of Belanos, which is an order within the Reformed Druids of North America, which has that healing focus. And it's not for me, because as a priest in the RDNA, I am a servant to others. And so I seek to help people find that balance, find some of that emotional or psychological stability and healing. And also, I had mentioned Serona. Serona is a Gaulish goddess of rivers and springs, and very much a water deity. And I've been cultivating a relationship with her over the last several years too. And so there's more to come on that. Now, I kind of got sidetracked when I mentioned panentheism and went back into pantheism. Panentheism is basically a lot like pantheism, except that, yes, you do have deities that are interpreted as different aspects of maybe one divine source. But what makes it different is that divinity is also somehow separate from everything at the same time. And there's a lot more to it than that, so you can go Google panentheism and have fun, because I think it's important that we explore all the options, all the different type of theologies that are out there, and try to figure out where it is we feel we fit in best. Because, if we're trying to fit into some sort of interpretation of one versus the other, we get lost. We can get lost, and maybe the journey is half the fun. But researching is really fun too. So always research. But we got 3 more topics to address. The second one is cosmology. How do you think everything came into being, the universe? And for me personally, I am very much more scientifically oriented. And so I do have a spiritual faith, but I also have a faith in science. There are a lot that I don't understand about both. And so both require different amounts of faith, different types of faith. And so I would like to use an analogy of a dinner plate. And so it's kind of like you have your savory spirituality and you have your tangy science. And I don't want those two touching. Yes, they're all going to the same place in the tummy of my soul. And that's where they flirt. And so, like, in the RDNA, there is one of many rituals that begins, "In the dust of the galaxy swirls the spark of life, and we partake of it, we and all living beings. In the mighty helix we dance, and in harmony with all of life we sing." And so there you can kind of see the flirtation between some sort of vague cosmology and just the spirituality, and it touches it and it leaves it there. The RDNA makes no scientific claims. It's like, keep your religion separate from your science kind of deal. And the third topic for this month's video is the concept of consciousness. Does consciousness exist? Do all creatures have consciousness? Do all things have consciousness? Does the universe have consciousness? And this is where I'd have to say that I don't know. And I'm not afraid to say that I don't know. I think that's a very important thing for us to be able to say. It takes courage sometimes, because I know a lot of us like to say we know a whole bunch of things, but being able to admit that we don't know is also very important, especially when it's that journey again. It's exploring the possibilities and trying to figure out what it is that you understand or want to believe. So I'm also partially an animist, and so in that regard, I would really much like to believe that all things have consciousness. I know that there are animals that are self-aware, and by some definitions, that constitutes consciousness. So then we come to, okay, so humans and animals, yeah. What about plants, rocks, planets, galaxies? I don't know. I'd like to believe it, but I'm still comfortable saying I don't know. And today's fourth and final topic is the topic of other worlds, realms, universes, parallel universes. What do I think about those? Afterlife, maybe? Again, I'm comfortable saying that I really don't know. But one of my favorite theories, it's not a theory, it's a hypothesis, is the many worlds hypothesis, which, if you think about it, consider all the choices you make. And there's the one thing that you don't do. That's what fractures off and becomes its own reality. And so you think of all of the choices that you make. It's not just the one thing you don't do. It's everything you choose not to do. And so that's just infinite. And so at the moment that you choose to do something or choose not to do something, that's when new universes are being created. And so if you think about that in terms of just yourself, like I said, that's infinite. And then you put in a second person and their interactions with you. Everything they choose not to do fractures off and becomes an infinite number of additional universes. And then now compound that with like the 7 billion of us that are on this planet. And it's just mind-boggling. And so, like I said, do I believe this? No, because I don't know. I really don't know how I would interpret that. And there are a lot of flaws with that hypothesis, which is why it is not a theory. And so it's fun to think about. And as a Reformed Druid, half of being a Reformed Druid is that philosophical dialogue. Philosophy to a Reformed Druid is half the fun. There is the ritual aspect, and that is rewarding in its own way. But one of the goals of being a Reformed Druid is that you're on this never-ending search for spiritual truth, for awareness, which I think is just another word for enlightenment. And so it is that thirst, that quest for knowledge, that is really half the heart of being in the Reformed Druids of North America. And so that's all I had for this month's video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.